scriptwriter whose body of work includes Fruits Basket, Fairy Tale, One Piece, and the Dragon Ball franchise. Please welcome John Burgmeier. And next, he's an actor, writer, and comic book artist whose body of work in anime and comics includes Lupin the Third, ElfQuest, My Hero Academia, One Piece, and the Dragon Ball franchise. Please welcome Sonny Strait. What are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, if you want to use that microphone, go ahead, but I got a little chair for you anyway.
Hi.
Hello, gentlemen. Hi. Thanks for joining us here in Ocala.
Happy to be here.
Oh, so glad to have you here this weekend. Thanks for joining us. Had a good time so far?
Have a great time, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Sonny, you've been here before, right?
Yeah, I've been here, Florida 150 times, but I've been to actually this, in the early days of it. I think it was like 2014 or something.
Yes, that's when we first met.
Yeah.
Yeah, you came on, this came on the first time, so groovy stuff. So gentlemen, if it's okay with you, let's just sort of, this is a really broad panel. It sort of says One Piece, Dragon Ball, but I figure let's just talk about the voiceover careers in general, the water will find its own level in that. So what was everybody's origin story in getting into this peculiar form of acting?
I just lost a bet, and how did you get into it, John?
I started out I came at it from the production side. I learned of an opening at a small company called Funimation where they were looking for an audio engineer.
Small company.
But
it was at the time. Yeah.
It was incredibly small at the time. And that turns out to be the only reason why I was able to get a job as an audio engineer. I was just barely qualified enough, and more importantly, was young enough and willing to work cheap enough that the company said, "Yes, kid, you're hired. Get in here." So I started out as an audio engineer, and then began working on my actual education in college was writing, with emphasis on creative writing, and so my boss was aware of that. He said, "Hey, John, you've got that English degree. Why don't you start editing our scripts for us as well?" "Oh, okay." So during the day, I'm running the audio sessions, recording people like Sonny here, listening to them do their acting thing all day. At night, I'm working on scripts and trying to imitate them and make their lines fit in the scripts for the recording the following day. And between all of that and other elements of my background, I sort of had some on-the-job training in becoming a voice actor, and eventually I was able to audition for some parts, and hey.
You were the head writer for so long. I forgot that you were an engineer at one time.
This is true.
How long were you the engineer before you switched over to writing?
I mean, it was very short. Everything happened really fast in those days. I mean, maybe 6 months, maybe.
Okay.
Fun fact.
So it's not just my old memory trying to get it. You weren't there very long as that.
No, they once they had me in there, then they tried to get me out as quickly as possible.
Well, dude,
turns out I was not a very good audio engineer. I was really
an incredible scriptwriter, though.
which again is I've been badgering my clients for years. Like I wanted to do panels with the ADR script writers and talk about, because there's so many unique challenges to that. It's not just the one on translation. It's also like trying to come up with the English that's going to match the flaps and stuff like that. There's a lot of extra work as opposed to quote normal episodic like television or screenwriting.
I've written for John, and it's a tough thing. I think it's like writing an epic poem, but the meter changes on every line.
Kind of. I've always kind of equated it to where it's not quite like doing a crossword puzzle, but it's kind of like doing a Sudoku puzzle, but with lines of dialogue.
I've described it as word algebra.
Yeah.
You got to make it fit in there.
Yeah, you got to convey whatever this character is supposed to be saying, and do it. And as we all know, in the Japanese language, they have one word that can be equivalent to a sentence and vice versa.
And you have to make it match the mouth flaps on the screen.
Yeah. So thank you for that task, because I think it's a very unheralded part of the whole animation evolution.
In some ways, when you're working on an ADR script, the highest compliment you can receive is that nobody notices your work. It's just like it disappears.
Yeah.
So
John really did set the pace for how anime scripts should be translated and written in the industry, I think, too. He really set a standard.
So hey, come on,
Hey,
come on.
Fight me, fight me.
News to me.
Yeah.
But I did.
You're the Sid Field of
Yes.
anime translation.
Yeah.
which is not a bad appellation. So, and I think it's curious too. And Sonny, we'll get into your origin story, because again, both of you guys, you're already in one discipline, and again, of your generation of anime production as it is, you guys fell in not through the back door, but through a side door.
Because it wasn't an industry when we started. There were a few houses doing dubbing, but even the word anime, we had no idea. We called it Japanimation at that time. Nobody knew the word anime. And I was just doing theater. I had been doing theater for like 14 years and doing it for free. And if I'd never gotten an anime, I'd still be doing it for free because I just loved acting. But a friend of mine, her name was Michelle Irving, and she was a friend of Chris Sabat. So she heard about the Dragon Ball Z auditions. And she auditioned, and she didn't get a part, but she said, Sonny, this is your kind of thing. You should audition for this. And I'd always wanted to be in a cartoon. So I did not expect to get a part. I just thought it'd be fun to audition. And it was. And I turned to the producers and directors after the audition. I went, wow, that was so much fun. Thanks, guys. And I thought that would be the end of it. And then Chris called me up and he said, you were like second choice for several characters, but we really want you to play Krillin. And Krillin, I just love playing that. I wouldn't want to play any other character on the show.
And you were doing comics at the time too, right?
Do what?
Were you doing comics before
I
anime,
was
or was
doing
that
comics
after?
starting. My first published book was in 1990.
Yeah.
So, and I was in, I think it was 97 when we started it, or was it 98?
I would put you guys at 98, but I think
I think you're right.
said 97 as well, but I'm not sure. It was one of the two.
Mm-hmm. So my main focus was comics until 98, and then all of a sudden, and even then, because Krillin dies a lot, so it was a part-time job. But Cartoon Network really liked what I did with Krillin and asked me to audition for Toonami Tom. And when I got that, he came on the air before Krillin did. And or at least our version of Krillin. I was introducing the Canadian version on Toonami. But I kind of realized at that point, I think I've stumbled onto a career here.
Yeah.
But it's definitely backdoor. It was like worse than backdoor. We had to build the frame and put the door in. And I give John a lot of credit for the writing, and I give Chris Sabat a lot of credit for the directing and how when we started out, I think Barry Watson was the only director, and Chris was the assistant director. Yep. Barry became a producer, and then Chris became the head director. And then we got 4 directors, and it was Chris Sabat, me, Mike McFarlane, and Justin Cook. And Chris pulled us into a meeting, and he said, okay, I think that our goal as a dubbing company should be to sound like we're pre-laying. And we're all like, what the heck's prelay? And he said, well, that's when they record the actors first and then they animate to it. That's not what we do, but we should sound like that. We should sound like we're not trying to match mouth flaps, but that we're really living this scene. And I think that was a huge step up in quality when we took on that philosophy.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. But now when you guys started out, was this still tape? Yeah. Okay. All right.
For longer than it should be.
Yeah.
When I started as the audio engineer, all of the video was
video
on tape. We had the beta machine, and it was synced to an early version of Pro Tools on the Mac, and that was the good thing for me at that point was that nobody really knew how to do Pro Tools. So it was like, hey, I have a little bit of experience with audio gear, and my boss was like, all right, here's the, this is my Barry Watson impression. Here's the Pro Tools manual. You start Monday. So I crammed the manual over the weekend and like figured out how to push all the buttons on my first day of work. It was a crash course for sure.
Barry Watson was a good old boy from Texas, and he had a real thick Texas accent. He'd be like, all right, let's do one more, this time for the children. And then his main direction was always, higher stakes, please, higher stakes.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Well, again, it's just like I always have a soft spot for, I guess, for lack of a better term, the romanticism of, again, those early days, working with the clunkiness of tape the way it was, and you actually had to cut and paste, like literally in some cases.
That wasn't the worst of it. The thing about tape was they couldn't keep a file on anything we had done before, so if they referenced what we had done in another episode, we had to re-record it. They couldn't just pull up the file.
Yeah.
And that scene where Krillin blows up and I have to do this blood-curdling scream, I had to do that 4 times.
I had to ask that about the actress that used to do Team Rocket. I said, like, was there like a bass record? No. Every time we would have to prepare for danger, make a double. It's like, like every single time we had to do it. We'd always have to match the old one. We always said, can't you just, no, it won't sound right.
Well, and also at the time, Barry, he was convinced that we couldn't do it digitally. And 2 of our engineers, I know one was Neil Malley, and I can't remember who the other one was, but they decided to get together on a weekend and set up one computer digitally to record to show him it could work. And he went, yeah, that works, let's do it. So then we switched over to digital, and it really made our lives a lot easier.
Switched over one weekend, switched from horse and buggies to automobiles.
We traveled to the future.
Yes, really.
Nowadays, I mean, everything is, of course, digital, and they've got, like, you go in the booth and they have a couple of screens in front of you. One of them has your script, and one of them has your video. In those days when we were starting out, your screen just had your video, and we actually worked from paper scripts.
On a music stand. The cool thing was that you could take notes back then. You can't do that now.
You could take notes, or in the downtime between takes, when you're waiting for the video to rewind and to reset and hopefully not break in the process. You had some time. You could take notes, or you could make little doodles. And one of the best times to go in to record was after Sonny had been in, because you got little doodles of like Krillin poking his head out of the script, and like
always the artist.
I have a Dragon Ball Z script from an episode I directed that has all of the notes and all of the doodles from everybody who came in, and I'm saving it for my retirement. I'll sell it on eBay when it's done. But nice. It's a pretty amazing little thing that you will never see again.
Yeah. Besides the technology? From your perspective? What's been the biggest change from then to now in American animation?
I'd say that it's actually a full-blown industry now, and at the time it was not. At the time, again, I said before, we were just a few houses doing this, but I've watched it grow so much. And also, Funimation, when we took over for the Canadian cast, there was a lot of hatred. And we were considered the bane of anime.
Yeah.
And then we got, I think it was around Full Metal Alchemist, and we started winning awards. And then all of a sudden, Funimation became the bastion of quality as opposed to the bane of the industry. So that was kind of cool to watch that development at the time.
Yeah, fandom is loyal to a peculiar point, and it's always an ephemeral point where it's like it's not an evolution; it's flipping a switch. All of a sudden, you were the bane, and then it seems like overnight, oh yeah, I love those guys.
But also we had to prove ourselves, you know. And again, we were just starting out as well. If you listen to the first season, it's rough, you know. But at the time, it was pretty standard, you know. And then again, when Chris took over the head director job, suddenly we were able to take more chances and try more things, and all with the goal of sounding as if we were animated too.
I see that. I can totally see that. Like, what's your perspective?
I think, I mean, how, in a lot of ways, one of the biggest changes is, in those days, early on, we were able to take the approach that we did because, in many ways, the anime industry as a whole was just very small, very niche. The goal of the shows that Funimation brought in was like, okay, we've got one objective here, and that is to get this show on after-school television. That's it.
Yeah.
And so all the choices that we made for those shows like Dragon Ball Z or like Yu Yu Hakusho, and like the choices that our producer had us make was like, look, I don't care what the translation says. I don't care if there's dialogue here or not dialogue here. You make this where it's going to hold a kid's attention, and we've got commercial breaks, and the network is going to want to buy it. So we played fast and loose with the translations. We tried to get the story, as right as we could, but we injected a lot of like characterization and invention into our scripts. Granted, the translations that we were working from were just very piecemeal and terrible because at that time, the Japanese companies, Toei and any of the other companies, they kind of didn't care. Like we were an afterthought.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, these Americans, they want to license our show, whatever. Just here are these terrible translations.
It was milk money to them.
And it's like, yeah, you just go do your thing, guys. And
Well,
so
there
they
wasn't
weren't
very high expectations, right?
and so and they weren't paying attention, and they weren't, So we had the opportunity to like, we're gonna make this dub like premium quality as best we can. Mm-hmm. Now, when an anime is released, it's released with the international market in mind.
Right.
And now the Japanese studios, they want a much more consistent product from country to country to country to country. So you can't take those risks that we used to take.
Yeah.
They play a lot closer to the translation. It's
They also want to have more of a big hand into it. Like when I played the Sniper King, they were still, like as I was singing this song, I had to do two versions, Sniper King and Soga King, because they hadn't decided yet, Toei hadn't decided yet which one they wanted to go with. So we had to wait for them to make the decision on it.
No, absolutely. And again, in those early days too, that was pretty much before email and stuff like that as well, or the other way too. I mean, you probably were getting notes via fax.
Yeah. Also,
if at all.
When we did, we took over from 4Kids One Piece, and Oda decided that he wanted to decide who's going to be cast in the show. So what they did was they had the auditions at Funimation. They took their top actors for each one of them, the voices of them, sent those to Japan, and Oda and his crew decided who's going to play what. So that's some real involvement. Probably the greatest honor I think I've had in my life to be cast by the creator of the series,
That's, yes. That's about 37 too. For each of you, and either acting or maybe on the other side, on the directing or engineering side, what was the craziest moment you guys had revolving around the booth?
I can't say that one.
Yes, that you can say in front of a mixed audience.
Craziest thing that happened in the booth. I don't know. The problem with coming up with an answer for that is that Funimation is a company made up, especially back then, of all lunatics. And we did crazy things every day. That's just who we were, right?
Yeah.
So it was just like, you can't pick one because you're just saying, pick a day of your life,
Every day was an adventure.
Yeah, it was always crazy.
I don't know about the craziest, but definitely one of the most scarring, perhaps, was I had a brief stint when we expanded and began recording multiple booths. I had a brief stint as the assistant director on some of the Dragon Ball Z episodes and whatnot. And this would have been during like the Cell Saga. So I have distinct memories of Damian Clark, the voice of Cell, coming in the morning, and we'd be recording his stuff, and then at some point in the middle of the session, without warning, he would just open up the door of the booth and be like, "Burgmeier, think fast," and just throw a water bottle at my head. And this would happen every time he came in. So every time I see him now, I instinctively flinch.
No, that's
Do you
fair.
remember Byron, Barry's brother?
I do.
Barry Watson, he was the first director. He had a brother that worked there. I think he worked in the art department. Is that right?
That's right. He worked.
Yeah.
He did the covers for the VHS covers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I'm a love puppets, and I used to make my own puppets. And I brought one up there, and I found out that Byron had a deep-seated fear of puppets.
Oh, wow.
And so I chased him around the studio quite a bit with that. And I started bringing puppets out more often back then.
Nice. At this point, for either of you, what's the dream gig?
What we did, I think, for me, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm thrilled every time I get called in to do something new. There's like some new young generation of directors that are in there, and somehow, like, I'm still on their list of people to call, and it's just like, okay.
We were talking about that last night at dinner. It was like John was talking about being brought in, and I said, yeah, it's because that's full circle for them. They grew up listening to your voice, and now they want to bring you in so they can make their life complete.
No, absolutely. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take some questions. Before I do that, on behalf of myself and this audience, I thank you both. I thank you for your talents, your professionalism, all the performances, and all the work at directing and production and everything on else. It's like you guys were there at that very vital time. That very, very vital time. Yes, I could break it down to epochs where it's like, okay, you've got the Simba Astro Boy generation, the black and white stuff, the
Right.
Civilization. Then you got the Speed Racer, Macross kind of years in the 80s and stuff like that. But that period, those 90s, that was the full court press. And if you all and your peers hadn't thrown yourselves into it, we would not be here today. I think it would be around, but I think it would be, I don't think it would have been near, the impact that it's had.
Well, when I was in college as an art student, I studied about the Dada movements and the Surrealist movements, and I always wanted to be a part of an artistic movement. And I didn't realize until 20 years into it, I was part of an artistic movement. Anime is probably one of the biggest artistic movements this country has ever seen.
No, absolutely. So cool. All right, who wants to? All right, go ahead. We'll do it in a line. Oh, our Mandalorian was start first.
Careful.
Groovy. Set my phone up. Hey, what's your name?
Owen,
Owen. What do you want to know?
how much years have you been working for Dragon Ball Z?
26, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's probably about 2.5 of your age, I imagine, right? so it's good. Well, that's a good way to start us off with. Thank you much.
Yes, I can say that I crossed the threshold. I think last year I can say I've been working on anime for over half of my life.
I'm older than you, so I can't say that.
You'll get there one day, kid.
Yeah, 10 more years.
Hey, what's your name?
I'm Kenny.
Hi, Kenny.
I have a question for you both. Is there anything from the show, like the animated shows, that you would love to take into the real world?
Yeah, I think I would love to have a Destructo disc, but unlike Krillin, I think I'm a little more disciplined than he is, because I would be out every weekend practicing my aim on that, because it's such a powerful weapon that seldom works.
I just want my own Chaozu.
There you go, brother. Thank you. Fun one. Good.
Are you handing out candy with a question?
Yeah.
You're training them. That's good.
Well, if they
Yeah.
stay in the rules and stuff like that,
Yeah.
don't ask you for voices and the questions for both of you. Yeah, you get a piece of candy and all that
A
fun
good
stuff.
question should get 2 pieces, I think.
Well, the first one always gets 2 usually.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what's your name?
I'm Jonah. How are you doing? So I just did 4 years in the military, and
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate
I love that hat, by the way.
Thank you. And I've never been to any comic anything. I heard you were coming. I wanted to know whenever you were taking questions too. I don't know if you are, but my question for both of you is, I'm an aspiring voice actor. I didn't want to do the 16 more years in the military. It wasn't for me. I respect people that do, but I'm begging for a job as like a voice actor. I know that a lot of work goes into it. I did the Voices 123, voices.com. I've been on it, but I decided I'd come here for the first time ever and see the real people that are actually in the industry and what advice they have. I do a lot of voices, so I'm just wondering what you guys could give me for like advice.
What kind of acting training do you have?
So I've been on TV a few times. I've never done really acting training. I've put on shows. I am an author, but as far as like acting itself goes, I've got a page, I guess, for like Instagram and YouTube. A lot of people follow because they like my Joker voice, among others.
Well, you're a very dynamic person, and your voice is very good. I can hear it in your voice. If I were starting out in this industry, I would just take classes from the guys who are in the industry teaching classes online. Because first of all, they're going to know things that most people aren't going to know, but also a lot of them are directors, and that is a good way to be seen by a director, you know?
I would also say, I mean, if you listen to folks who are on these, anime voice acting panels, and particularly people from our generation, a lot of us, we found our way into this. We weren't aiming for this. Right. So my advice would be just immerse yourself in the creative life. Be open to possibilities. Surround yourself with other people who are interested in pursuing the creative life, and opportunity will present itself.
Yeah.
Be open to the idea that I might not be the voice acting thing might not be my path, but here's like a TV personality, or here's like a behind the scenes role, or here's something. There's a whole lot of ways to make a career in this sort of business.
I was on a panel with Eric Vale many years ago, and there was like 14 voice actors on the panel. And he said, somebody said, how do you become a voice actor? And he said, raise your hand on this panel. There's 14 people you've already knew. How many of you set out to be anime voice actors? None of us raised our hands. He said, how many of you set out to be actors? We all raised our hands. And he said, see, you've got to be open to what John was just saying there too, is you got to be open to whatever comes at you, and then, put yourself into it fully.
I will say this much. You seem young. You seem like a young man, unlike us. But you are on the cusp of a new era where you can create your own stuff. And that's what I tell everybody young right now too. It's just like, learn to create your own stuff, and then become so good they can't ignore you. So instead of like saying, "Hey, can I get a job on this show?" or something like that, create your own.
It's a really good advice. I mean, when I started out drawing comics, I was self-publishing, and I would take it to conventions, and then publishers would see it, and they would publish me, and the publishers got bigger and bigger and bigger, and every job I ever got was from a convention. When you make it yourself, you can criticize it a lot better and see what you need to do to make it improve.
And you can maybe skip the part where, oh yeah, you get a booking with Funimation and you're villager number 7. Hey! Okay, great, thank you. Okay, we'll see you in 6 months.
I said a lot of people want to be my friends just so they can hear the hiccup voice. Oh, what's going on, bud? Oh, come on, that doesn't wash out, toothless. and
that's good, but here's the thing. They've already got guys that could do that. That's one thing that I always say to, oh, hey, I do this character. That's wonderful. But they've already they usually got 3 or 4 people that can do that stuff.
A little piece of advice I give, I haven't taught in a while, but when I taught, I would tell my students, look at the character's face, look at his body, and then ask yourself, how would I sound talking through that? Don't try to come up with a funny voice. Try to come up with something that's believable. Like, this is how I would sound in this body. And then you're creating a sense of empathy for the character, so it lets you present a much more believable character. And he's right. Like, so many people come up with their Vegeta voice, and I'm like, we got a Vegeta, he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. Although I will say that as far as like just learning your voice and what your voice can do and just practicing the muscles, like doing those sorts of impersonations. Like, I have a number of bad impressions that I do where I'm just walking around the house and I'm like, when I first met Andy Dufresne, I didn't think he would last the night. This is a terrible Morgan Freeman impression. But it's a thing that I discovered that my voice could do. And so it's like, okay, I can drop my voice down into that. I'm not going to sound like Morgan Freeman, but I can sound like somebody who has that voice, right?
Most of the voice acting. Oh yeah, let's hear it.
My name is Morgan Freeman, and I absolutely love the Ocala Comic Con. I'd highly suggest it for everybody that wants to go.
I don't even know if I could do a Morgan Freeman. Let's see, Morgan.
I definitely agree. Your Morgan Freeman is better than mine.
It's much better. I've never heard a better Morgan Freeman in this panel.
All right, keep being inquisitive. And keep being inquisitive and just throw everything on out there. And like I said, take the paths where do your own stuff as much as you can. Hopefully I'll see you on stage. I'll have you on stage. Okay.
Did you give him candy?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
For that and for his service. So, okay. Hey, what's your name?
I'm Jarrell. My question isn't as deep.
That's all good.
So I have one for both, really. So for John, this is a Yu Yu Hakusho question, really.
Oh, okay.
So I love Kurama. I actually watched anime really recently this year. Enjoyed it. I got a question though. So I noticed that the dub and the sub are very different. What was it like working on a script that was so different from the original?
Well, again, yeah, that was during that time that I mentioned earlier where the goal was we've got this show and we're going to get it on television. And our producer, Barry, said, okay, punch up the script, make these characters, really, give them some personality, give them some attitude. Barry had this thing where if there was an extended silence in a show, he was like, fill it with dialogue. He just do not let there be more than X seconds of empty space. You got to keep these kids tuned in. So that's in Dragon Ball Z and in Yu Yu Hakusho. There's all sorts of like just slow panning shots of like of scenery and there's just narration of some sort on top of it. And that's just like, okay, that's our Barry wants it, so let's do it. That was a young guy by the name of Jared Hedges and a couple of his friends who were actually at that time they were going to school at UCLA for screenwriting, and they were like plying their craft to the Yu Yu Hakusho scripts and just really having a ball with it. And Justin Cook that was like his first turn in the director's chair and as a lead in this show, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna make this the best thing that's ever been on television. And he put heart and soul into it. Nowadays, like if we were to ever go back and redo that, if they ever rebooted the series, it's like we would not be able to do a lot of the things that we did with the script then. It was kind of, in some ways, it was sort of like the last of its kind. Like we got it right in that window, and then after that, anime started getting big, and it's like, well, we can't do that anymore, right?
Well, Justin is the reason we can't, because of Fruits Basket. When he did Fruits Basket, he decided to stay true to the Japanese in tone and script. And I remember we were called into a meeting with the directors, and Justin wasn't in the meeting. And I said, where's Justin? And he said, well, it's about Justin. They hadn't come out yet, but he said, this show is how we're not to do anime. We're supposed to Americanize this, right? And Justin had stayed very true to the tone. Well, it came out, and it was a huge hit. And I think it was like less than a year after that, Justin became a producer. So they were like, oh, you're right. We can stick true to the Japanese, and people will still love it.
There you go. Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, my name is James. I had a question real quick for Owen. So my favorite line of Usopp's was the Rubber Band of Doom, but I was wondering what your favorite line of his was and why.
My favorite line from Usopp is Rubber Band of Doom.
Oh!
As a matter of fact, when I sign Pops, people always say, put your favorite quote, and I write Rubber Band of Doom on all of them, and...
Oh, that's the guy that...
Are you all right? What happened? Did something happen? Okay.
Hey, what's your name?
Cool.
Emma.
You got it, Emma.
My question is, what's your favorite line or
Scene. Okay. So what's your favorite scene that you guys have done? Scene?
Oh my.
There's a lot of them because we've been doing this for 26 years. For Usopp, probably my favorite scene was when he had the money stolen from him and he was all angry and humiliated and crying. And I'd been acting since I was 14 years old, and I had never cried real tears for a character until that moment. I just felt so bad for him. And so it was a really traumatic scene for most people to watch, but for me, it was my favorite thing to do. Suddenly he went from being comic relief to someone who actually challenges me really difficultly. And now I think that One Piece is really a show about clowns, but in order to play those clowns, the actors are required to do the most dramatic scene of their entire career. Do you have a favorite scene?
That's hard. I mean, some of my favorite scenes of all time probably come from Shigure in Fruits Basket. As far as like Yu Yu Hakusho, Kurama, one of my favorite scenes would have been the first appearance of Yoko Kurama, where I had been doing the voice of Kurama, and everybody knew, like Justin and our boss Barry, like they knew that Yoko Kurama was coming up, and Barry was actually, he's like, do we need to get another actor in here to play Yoko Kurama? I'm not sure Burgmeier has the voice to do this. And Justin, let's just try it out. Let's give him a shot. And so I came in and Kurama sounds something like this when he's talking. And Yoko Kurama is down here. So I came in and I did the Yoko Kurama voice, and the scene went well. And then Barry's like, all right, I guess we'll keep him. And I didn't know that like I was like in danger of being recast for that particular part of the role. But I was auditioning that day, and I didn't know it, and I landed the part. So that scene is kind of always special.
One time I found out that I was in danger of being replaced and had no idea either. I'd moved to LA to draw that comic book series, and I told them I'll fly back once a month and record Dragon Ball Z. But they didn't believe I'd come back. So they had somebody in the wings waiting in case I didn't return. And I had no idea.
Do you know who it was?
Yeah, Duncan.
Oh.
He would have been a good one because he did, what's the guy's name? Chuck E. Cheese.
That's right.
And he kind of sounds like Krillin. Hey, Mom, what's cool?
Let's go. Hey, what's your name?
My name's Francis. What I'm really curious about is you talked about the translations initially, how Japan or Japanese companies like Toei didn't necessarily give you translations from the get-go, but now obviously with international markets, that's kind of a bygone era. But which era did you prefer creatively, where you had that freedom because it wasn't given to you and you had to figure it out on yourselves, or do you prefer kind of the more consistent branding across?
I prefer the way we do it today because I think that a lot of these works are just works of genius and probably shouldn't be messed with too much.
I mean, I wish I had some sort of like archive where I could show you the translations we worked from for like Dragon Ball Z. I mean, it was literally like, it was like the Mad Libs. It was.
Do you remember writing scripts from the Spanish version? We had to watch the Spanish Dragon Ball and do that. They had rough translations from Spanish, and then we were trying to. It took you like 3 times watching it to figure out what's going on.
Was that was for Dragon Ball, right?
Yeah, Dragon Ball
Z. Yeah.
Those crazy days.
Yeah, the Dragon Ball Z. I mean, it was literally like you would have like a scene like of like just this, I don't know, 2-minute monologue or whatever, and I've got the translation of it, and it's like 7 words on the page. It's like, what am I doing here? And so a lot of it was like I had to, we had to fill in the blanks of just like, okay, this is what we think is happening, and here you go. But now it's so much better. The translations that are done are so much thorough and complete,
and plenty of people who speak Japanese now.
Let's go. Yeah, good one. We're just about time, so this will be our last question. Hey, what's your name? Junior. What you got? First of all, Junior, this is pretty awesome. So what's your question?
Why did you marry an android?
Oh,
Have you seen her?
yeah.
She's lovely.
She's beautiful, and also, you know, Krillin is the only Dragon Ball Z character with any kind of Riz. So,
That'll do it. Gentlemen, what's anything coming up project-wise you're allowed to share with us?
well, I know that they're releasing the new One Piece episodes that we've recorded next month, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I guess that we just wrapped Dr. Stone and To Be Hero X. I guess the season of Gachi Akuta, which I'm in the beginning of, is probably just wrapping. I'm not sure what I've got coming up in the next season, but I've got plenty of characters. I'm waiting for Lucky Roo One Piece to come back. I think I might have to wait to episode 2000 for that. But we'll get there.
Not that long.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And one final question. Do you want to take a picture with this wonderful audience?
Yes.
Of course.
All right, everybody, come on up towards the stage. Not on the stage. Come on up towards the stage. Want to take a picture of these amazing guys and all of you.